Amina's longing blossomed into an unquenchable fire. Each evening, after the day's tasks were done, she would sneak away to the edge of the village, where the shadows danced alongside the flickering flames of bonfires. The rhythmic thuds of drums would beckon her closer, pulling her into the warmth of the festivities where laughter and music intertwined like threads of silk. Hiding among the fringes, she would watch as the village's finest twirled and spun, their bodies embodying the spirits of, the ancestors. With every twirl, Amina felt as if she was shedding the layers of her mundane life, inching closer to the dancer she longed to become. The village elders spoke of a mystical grove hidden deep in the hills, a sacred place where the spirits of the dancers could be summoned. They warned, however, of the risks that came with entering such a realm. There, the lines between reality and magic blurred, and not all who ventured returned unchanged. Amina, possessed by a fierce determination, found herself wandering the trails that led to the grove, guided by the haunting melodies that lingered in her dreams. As dusk fell, she reached the grove. Moonlight spilled through the ancient trees, illuminating the clearing like a celestial stage. Amina hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the legends that enveloped the place. Yet, the pull of her dreams surged within her, stronger than any fear that had previously tethered her. She stepped into the circle, and the air shimmered with anticipation. Suddenly, an ethereal figure appeared before her, cloaked in gossamer threads of light. It floated just above the ground, its grace enchanting and otherworldly. "You have come seeking the dance," the spirit intoned, its voice echoing like a bell in the stillness. Amina felt a rush of energy course through her, igniting every fiber of her being. "But know this," the spirit continued, "the gift of the dance is not free. It comes with a price." Intrigued, yet frightened, Amina leaned closer, her heart pounding like the drums she adored. The spirit spoke of transformation, a chance to inherit the elegance of the dance, to embody the stories of her ancestors for all to witness. However, she would need to relinquish a part of her soul, forever tied to the spirits of the grove. A choice had to be made: to embrace this gift and risk losing herself, or to return to her life of simplicity, forever yearning. Amina closed her eyes, picturing the festivals, the dancers, and the joyous abandon that filled the air. With her heart as her compass, she made her choice, whispering her consent to the spirit. In that moment, the grove erupted in colorful lights, swirling around her like a tempest. Her body trembled as she felt an unfathomable energy surge within her, a connection to the very essence of dance that she had longed for all her life. As dawn broke, Amina emerged from the grove, transformed. She could feel the rhythm pulsing through her veins, a melody that could not be silenced. She had become a dancer overnight, her movements imbued with a magic that defied explanation. Yet, beneath the exhilaration lurked a shadow of doubt, a whisper of the price she had paid, and Amina wondered if the joy she sought was now intertwined with a deeper burden. Amina stood transfixed, the cool evening breeze brushing against her skin as she gazed at the spirit of dance. The glade before her thrummed with an energy she had never felt before, a melody woven into the very air that surrounded her. Fireflies flitted about like tiny stars come to life, casting fleeting glimmers that danced in harmony with the spirit's ethereal form. This enchanted realm pulsed with the heartbeat of nature, drawing her deeper into its embrace, igniting a longing within her that she could scarcely comprehend. As the spirit stepped forward, she caught the glint of jewels embedded in its flowing cloak, each bead a tiny galaxy reflecting her dreams and desires. Amina felt an unearthly pull, almost as if the spirit could sense the rhythm of her soul, the unexpressed passion that lay dormant within. The air shimmered with anticipation, and she found her voice wavering but bold. "What price must I pay?" she asked, her words shaping themselves from the courage she didn't know she had. The spirit of dance circled her gracefully, its silver cloak sweeping against the grass with an elegance that made Amina's heart race. "Every gift has its weight," it whispered, its voice a soft rustle like leaves underfoot. "To embrace the art of dance, you must first surrender to the rhythm of your emotions, allowing them to guide your movements. Your fears, your joys, your sorrows, all will become part of your dance. In turn, they will unveil the depths of your spirit." Amina's brow furrowed in thought, the gravity of the spirit's words echoing in her mind. Could she truly open herself to such vulnerability? Memories of laughter with her friends and the echoes of her mother's gentle voice danced through her consciousness, mixed with the shadowy whispers of doubt that often halted her riskiest ambitions. Yet here, surrounded by whispers of magic, she felt a flicker of hope ignite within her heart. "Will you accept the challenge?" the spirit asked, its gaze unwavering and piercing through the twilight haze. "The dance can heal, transform, and even reveal your destiny." It extended a hand, fingers entwined with silver mist, the offer brimming with promise and discovery. Taking a step forward, Amina's heart raced. The moon unveiled herself, casting silvery streams of light over the glade, beckoning her to take the leap of faith. "I will," she said, her voice stronger now, saturated with a fierce determination. "I will embrace the dance." As she accepted the spirit's invitation, the air vibrated around her, coursing through her like a flood of warmth. Amina was enveloped in a swirling cocoon of energy, and without realizing it, her feet began to follow an invisible rhythm, one that transcended the boundaries of the mundane world. With each movement, she felt both freedom and weight envelop her. Every step rang with a story, the essence of her spirit spilling forth, granting her a glimpse of the untold potential that lay hidden beneath layers of doubt. The spirit of dance watched, a serene smile playing upon its lips as Amina began to discover what it meant to truly dance. In the heart of the hidden glade, under the watchful gaze of the stars, the Bai, two became intertwined, the spirit guiding, Amina glowing, an eternal moment blooming amidst the twilight. Amina's newfound ability had transformed her world in ways she had scarcely imagined. The days that followed were a flurry of color and movement, as if the very air around her had been painted with vibrant strokes of crimson and gold. Each time she leapt into the dance, she was no longer just a participant. She was a living embodiment of the spirit that had touched her. The village. Gatherings became her stage, and the villagers were her audience, captivated by the ethereal grace of her movements. Laughter and cheers echoed into the twilight as she danced beneath the canopy of stars, each note of music intertwining with the beat of her heart. With every performance, Amina felt her connection to the spirit grow deeper. It whispered to her in the rustling leaves and hummed in the breeze that swept through the village. She began to understand that she was part of something greater than herself, a rhythm that flowed through the very fabric of nature. The lines between her physical form and the world around her blurred, and she found solace in the delicate dance of life. For Amina, each evening brought a new adventure. One night, she chose to dance in the moonlight by the river, where silver beams reflected on the water's surface like a mosaic of dreams. She twirled, her skirts swirling around her like waves crashing upon the shore, the water responding to her, movements as if it were alive. The villagers gathered along the banks, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the moon, entranced by the fluidity of her form. The world felt lighter, and worries melted away under the spell of her dance. As the weeks passed, whispers of Amina's talent spread beyond the confines of her village. Travelers from nearby towns arrived, drawn to the magnetic aura of her presence. They marveled at her ability to communicate emotions through movement, each performance resonating with their own joys and sorrows. Amina became an interpreter of their hearts, translating their unspoken feelings into a language that everyone could understand. Yet, even in her joyous experiences, Amina grappled with the weight of expectations. The more she danced, the more she felt the stakes rising. She wanted to please the crowd, to soar higher and leap farther, but with each performance, a gnawing fear crept into her mind. What if she faltered? What if her essence slipped away? In her quiet moments, she would sit by the river and let the water flow through her fingers, seeking guidance from the spirit that had gifted her the joy of dance. It was in these reflective moments that she learned to trust herself, to remember that dance was not simply a performance, it was a celebration of life itself. With that realization, a warm glow enveloped her heart. Amina understood that the truest dance was born from authenticity and passion, and as long as those elements were present, she could never falter. Thus, Amina immersed herself in the rhythm of her life, dancing not just for others, but for herself, allowing her spirit to soar freely with each step, each twirl, and each leap into the unknown. With each pulse of music, Amina unleashed her essence into the universe, a graceful spirit entwined with the dance of life. As Amina soared to new heights, the nights grew longer and the skies brighter, awash with the light of festival lanterns and jubilant laughter. Word had spread like wildfire across the rolling hills and beyond, drawing locals and curious travelers alike to witness the enchantment of her performances. The village square transformed into a mosaic of colors each evening, vibrant fabrics and twinkling lights dancing together in a celebration of unity and joy. As the crowd grew, so did Amina's confidence. She reveled in the electric atmosphere, spinning and leaping to the rhythms that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the earth itself. Every laughter-filled face and every whispered word of praise fueled her spirit. Yet, while the thrumming joy of the performances wrapped around her like a warm embrace, flickers of uncertainty became harder to ignore. The admiration that had once felt like wings lifting her higher now cast a shadow of expectation over her. The thrill of being the village's shining star unveiled an unexpected weight. Each time she stepped onto the stage under the shimmering canvas of stars, a voice, at the back of her mind, questioned the origin of her talent. It was as if a curtain had been drawn back, revealing the delicate strings that connected her to this gift. Was she merely a vessel for the artistry, or was there a deeper bond tethering her to this magic? Her days, once filled with the untrammeled bliss of dance and spontaneity, morphed into a routine underlined by pressure. Teaching others became both a source of joy and a reminder of her boundaries. Every eager student was a reflection of her own journey, yet with each lesson, she sensed a piece of her essence being transferred, a silent surrender that stirred something dormant within her. The energy they brought filled the room, but with it came a gnawing worry. What was she giving away in return for their admiration? Late into the nights, Amina would lie awake beneath the vast sky, its weight both a comfort and a burden. She listened to the lanterns ringing softly in the breeze, their glow a reminder of what she had achieved. But the question persisted. Was this the true price of her talent? There were echoes of laughter and the thrill of applause. But could she sustain it? What would happen when the stars dimmed and the crowd dispersed? Each performance seemed to draw her nearer to an unseen precipice where the thrill of the dance risked becoming a whisper against the roar of expectation. Once, the dance had been a joyful expression of her spirit. Now, it felt as though she had unleashed a force beyond her control, one that demanded sacrifice in return for its dazzling brilliance. And Amina, though cloaked in the recognition of a rising star, could not help but wonder if she would be willing to pay the price to keep that light alive. The winds carried an unease through the village, a subtle tension that clung to the air like the fog that rolled down from the distant hills. Amina could sense it, a collective weighing of hearts that seemed to shadow her each time she stepped outside her door. The laughter of children playing nearby seemed to dissipate the moment she appeared, replaced by careful glances and whispers that stung like a winter chill. She had once felt the warmth of their admiration, but now their awe felt like a shroud, heavy and suffocating. Each day, she retreated further into herself, a small island surrounded by a sea of murmurs. Had she truly been chosen? Or was she simply the vessel for something she could not comprehend? The dichotomy of her situation gnawed at her. When she performed, magic flowed through her fingers like molten gold, but with that beauty came an unsettling awareness that the town's affection was frayed at the edges, punctuated by fear. She recalled the tales spun around flickering fires, how each blessing came with a cost, a debt that had to be settled in ways unsuspected. The village elders, once revered sages, now became harbingers of her growing dread. Their weathered faces, shadowy beneath the crags of their brows, shifted in the corner of her eye whenever she passed. They whispered of old legends, stories rooted deep in their collective memory, where prodigious talents led to sorrow, where talents granted by unseen forces required a reckoning. Amina shook her head to dispel the thoughts, but they lingered, relentless. One evening, unable to bear the weight of speculation, Amina sought solace at the edge of the forest, the very place she had first heard the whisper of her talent. The moon hung low, a luminous guardian in an inky sky, casting an ethereal glow over the trees. She stepped deeper into the woods, feeling the heartbeat of the earth beneath her feet, the rustle of leaves echoing her internal battle. As the shadows enveloped her, she dared to question her gift aloud. "Is this blessing or curse?" she called to the silence around her, hoping the spirit that had ignited her creativity would respond. The woods held their breath but offered no answer. Instead, a chill swept through the branches, rattling, leaves like laughter from a distance, mocking her uncertainty. With every echo of her voice, a piece of her felt unmoored, hanging in the balance between the ethereal and the tangible, as the very essence of her talent seemed less like a divine favor and more like a haunting call, beckoning her into the abyss of her fears. That night, as she returned home, Amina vowed to uncover the truth behind her gift. Perhaps the whispers were warnings, or perhaps they were simply an illusion manufactured by her own mind. Yet, deep within, she felt the stirrings of resolve, the flicker of determination. If there was a price to pay, she would own it. She would no longer let the shadows dictate her fate. With each step, she promised herself that she would glean the meaning behind the whispers that intertwined with her destiny, no matter the cost. Amina stood frozen, the gentle breeze of the night stilling her heart as the old woman shuffled closer. Moonlight cast a silvery glow on the woman's weathered face, revealing deep lines etched by time and wisdom. The frailty of her form was in sharp contrast to the fierce intensity in her gaze. Amina had always believed in spirits, those ethereal beings of the dance who whispered secrets to those who would listen. Yet never had she encountered someone so steeped in that otherworldly realm, someone who dared to speak of the potential perils that accompanied her fervent passion. "Fame, child, is a double-edged sword," the old woman continued, her voice a gravelly echo of a lifetime lived on the fringes of society. "It can lift you high above the ground, casting shadows on all below, but heed my warning. It can just as easily plunge you into darkness, where the unrelenting echoes of your ambition will haunt you." Amina felt the weight of those words settle into her bones, the exhilaration of her recent performances now mingled with a sense of foreboding. She thought of the accolades that had poured in, the clamor of applause that felt electrifying, yet somehow dissonant. Was the thrill of the stage worth the potential ruin of herself, her art, and those she loved? All around her, the night seemed to breathe the same question, an unrelenting whisper that resonated with her every twirl. "Passion is a forest in which one can easily lose their way," the old woman added, her sharp gaze piercing through Amina's defenses. "While you dance, You weave enchantments that others may see as sheer beauty. But remember, the spirits of, creativity are playful. They will coax you deeper into the woods, and only the wise emerge with their souls intact. So, tell me, child, how well do you see? Amina tightened her grip on the fabric of her flowing skirt, her heart a tempest of emotions. I see the beauty in every movement, every note, she responded, her voice trembling. It's a part of me, one that I can't seem to relinquish. The woman chuckled softly, the sound brittle like dried leaves, but it was devoid of mockery. And therein lies the trap. Blinded by your art, you may miss the flashing signs that guide you home. Even the most skilled dancers can falter in their footing and find themselves caught in a tangle of fate. With a sudden flourish, Amina spun, her body effortlessly painting arcs in the midnight air. She felt alive, yet the pleasure of movement felt inexplicably fleeting. The thrill compounded by the old woman's warning, and shadows closed in around her. In that moment, she was torn between elation and dread, her heart racing not from the joy of art, but from the nagging doubt that lingered just beyond her reach. As she turned to face the old woman once more, the familiar rhythm of confidence was muddled by uncertainty. "What do I do?" she pressed, her voice barely above a whisper. The old woman leaned closer, her voice a mere breath now. "Dance, child. But dance with the gravity of your choices. The spirit of ambition can grant you brilliance one moment and leave you bereft the next. Find your balance and tread wisely." Amina stood at the edge of the village square, her heart pulsating with the rhythm of drums that echoed through the night. Lanterns swayed gently in the breeze, casting a warm, golden glow over the celebrations that unfolded. Last year, she had watched from the sidelines, admiring the dancers and artists who brought the Festival of Lights to life. This year, however, she was at the helm, responsible for orchestrating the entire event. Pride bubbled within her, yet a nagging doubt tugged at her spirit. Why had the spirit chosen her for such a sacred duty? As the sun dipped below the horizon, dark hues painted the sky, and the first notes of the festival began to dance in the air. Villagers adorned in vibrant attire filled the square, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of candles and lanterns, smiles stretching wide, laughter ringing clear. Amina walked among them, greeting each familiar face. Her mother, with a twinkle in her eye, beamed with pride, while her little brother hopped excitedly beside her, his energy infectious. It should have been perfect, yet the unease gnawed at her. When the moment arrived, Amina stepped into the center of the square, taking her place on the stage. Her heart raced furiously as the crowd cheered, a sea of faces uplifted in anticipation. She lifted her arms, feeling the warmth of the lights cozy against her skin. A voice inside her whispered that this was her time to shine, to show everyone what she could do. But just as she began to move, a shiver coursed through her, a flicker of darkness piercing the joyous atmosphere. "Tonight, you dance for your life," the spirit's voice echoed dreadfully in her mind. Amina stumbled slightly, catching herself as she fought to regain her composure. The pulse of the drums throbbed louder, urging her to move, but the ominous warning wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. She could barely breathe. With each beat, she attempted to shake off the foreboding feeling, to lose herself in the dance like the others, but her body felt disjointed, every movement a silent struggle against the fate that loomed over her. But Amina had always found strength in dance. It was her voice when words failed. So, she closed her eyes, letting the music seep into her very soul. The rhythm enveloped her, and for a moment, the darkness receded, replaced by a kaleidoscope of light and color that seemed to burst forth from her, brightening the square even further. As she twirled, her focus sharpened on the audience, their joy, their hope, their belief in the spirit of the festival. Each cheer pushed her forward, silencing the ominous presence that had crept into her thoughts. If she danced, perhaps she could confront whatever challenge awaited. With renewed determination, she embraced the dance, channeling every ounce of energy into her movements. The spirit's warning lingered, undeniable and haunting, but Amina's fire ignited fiercely against the cooling shadows, drawing her closer to the truth of the night. With each step, she promised to discover what the festival had in store for her beyond the dance, a revelation waiting to emerge from the depths of darkness. Amina felt the cool air of the night wrap around her as she stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a caged bird desperate to escape. Each flickering lantern cast elongated shadows that danced alongside her, a deceptive reflection of her inner turmoil. She was aware of the audience, faces blurred by the glow of the firelight, eyes wide with anticipation, mouths agape in awe. But the swirling chaos in her mind muted their existence. They saw the light, the beauty, the ethereal grace of a dancer, while she grappled with the weight of a disquieting force lurking in the depths of her being. As her feet glided over the makeshift floor, a serpent of fear slithered through her veins. What if the spirit that awakened in her dance had a purpose dark and twisted? With every spin, every leap, she could feel it lurking just out of her sight, a shadow whispering secrets made of doubt. "You are not enough," it hissed, echoing through her thoughts like a haunting melody. The rhythm of her heart clashed against the orchestra of sounds around her, a discordant beat that threatened to drown her in anxiety. Yet, with each graceful movement, she saw flickers of warmth ignite among the crowd. The villagers were lost in her performance, entranced by her artistry, the way her limbs wove magic in the air like a spell broken only by the dawn. She reached for them, stretching out her fingertips, trying to grasp that elusive adoration, to anchor herself in their joy. But the darker presence clung to her, tightening its grip just as her heart soared during a particularly exhilarating turn. Then came the moment of truth, a grand leap, an embodiment of both triumph and terror. As she soared through the air, she could feel the whirlwind of emotions conflating inside her. The bittersweet taste of victory was laced with an urgency. Every eye was upon her, but the spirit was also watching, biding its time. Would she land and hear the roar of applause, or would she falter, a puppet whose strings were being pulled by a force she could neither see nor name? When her feet met the ground, the impact resonated through her, reverberating like a heartbeat. She locked eyes with her own reflection in the polished wooden floor, illuminated by the flickering lights, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a vision of herself enwrapped in shadow, not a monster, but a ghost of her potential, waiting to emerge. Would she allow this darkness to be part of her, to mold her into something both enchanting and ominous? In that instant of stillness, time stretched. Amina's breath hitched as she teetered on the precipice of revelation, delicate as a fragile flower. Was she a vessel for beauty, or could she wield the shadows, transform fear into strength? The dance continued, urging her on, even as she stood enveloped in the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Through the delicate fabric of her performance, the heartbeat of her spirit, and the darkness entwined within, spoke louder than any melody could ever convey. Each movement was now both a celebration and a reckoning, and beneath the surface of the flawless choreography, the dance of shadows wove its own tale, one that was far from complete. Breathless, Amina lay sprawled on the stage, the vibrant colors of her costume dimming as the final applause faded into an unsettling stillness. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on her chest. As her vision blurred, the swirling lights transformed into shadowy figures, the audience morphing into faceless spectators of her downfall. The spirit hovered above her, a grotesque silhouette illuminated by the glow of the stage lights. and its voice slithered into her consciousness. "Did you truly think this was only a dance?" it whispered, its tone laced with mockery. A chill ran through Amina, as if the very essence of the night conspired against her, stripping away her illusions. She had always craved the attention, the admiration, believing that her talent was a gift to be cherished and shared. Yet, here lay the truth. With every pirouette, every leap, she had been unknowingly bartering her vitality for fleeting applause. As the realization settled like a heavy fog around her mind, Amina struggled to comprehend the full reach of her desperation. The spotlight that once felt warm and inviting now felt like prison bars, trapping her in a cycle of consumption. Every thrilling performance had ignited a spark of joy, yet the price she paid was invisible, creeping into her life as slowly as the tide. Her friends and family saw only the surface, the shimmering facade of a rising star, unaware of the crust of loneliness and depletion that deepened under the glittering surface. Audience members shifted uneasily, their silence punctuating the growing tension. Their gasps were mere phantoms of concern. They were spectators, devoid of comprehension of the corporeal cost that echoed in Amina's heart. They had cheered for her, celebrated her triumphs, but did they know of the shadows that clung to her soul? Did they understand that as she captivated them with her movements, pieces of her were left behind, slipping through the cracks of applause? With each raucous cheer that once nourished her spirit, another part of her, withered, a delicate balance leaned dangerously toward darkness. This dance, this art she loved so dearly, turned parasitic, feeding not on mere effort or time but on her very essence. The spirit seemed invigorated by her torment, feasting on her anguish. "Your fame is tethered to your very life," it continued, its form twisting as if it relished her despair. A beautiful sacrifice indeed. A shudder ran through Amina, igniting a flicker of resolution within her. She had loved the art of dance, more than anything, but the clarity of her perilous situation was dawning upon her. If she had to face this malevolent force, she would do it on her own terms, even if it meant unraveling the very fabric of the fame she once coveted. With renewed purpose, she began to breathe in the silence around her, cherishing it as a moment to reconsider her path, to determine whether the accolades mattered more than her very being. The spirit clung to her indecision, waiting, but Amina's heart stirred. A choice loomed, vibrant and painful, teetering on the brink of now or never. Amina stood in the dim light of the old woman's home, the scent of herbs and incense filling the air like a haunting melody. Each breath felt weighted, heavy with the gravity of the choice laid before her. The old woman, with her wise, crinkled face, had witnessed the ebbs and flows of many lives, yet it was Amina's anguish that lingered in the air like a palpable fog. "To be free, my dear, you must first confront your own heart," the woman said, her voice soothing but firm. As Amina absorbed the truth of her words, her mind drifted back to the days before fame had infiltrated her life. She remembered dancing alone in her tiny bedroom, just her and the music, a private sanctuary where her soul could express itself without judgment or applause. Those moments had been pure, uninhibited pieces of joy. Yet now, the thought of relinquishing the fame felt like pulling a part of herself away, as if she were severing ties with the very essence that had shaped her identity. Yet, the whispers of the shadow that haunted her echoed louder. The spirit, once a gentle muse, had morphed into a relentless specter, demanding performance after performance, leaving her feeling hollow. "You dance for the crowd, but that crowd can be as fickle as the wind," the old woman cautioned. Amina's heart raced, torn between the intoxicating thrill of accolades and the suffocating grip of despair. What is life without the applause? Amina found herself voicing, the words tumbling out before she could tame them. The woman merely smiled, her eyes sparkling with knowledge born of ages. Life is whatever you choose to make it. Fame can be a gilded cage, my child. Amina's thoughts swirled, conjuring images of the countless faces that cheered her on, each cheer vibrant and electric, yet all too ephemeral. She talked of dreams fulfilled and the intoxicating rush, but deep inside, the spark of joy had dimmed to a flicker, buried beneath layers of expectation and stress. As she closed her eyes, she imagined herself dancing again, but this time not under the piercing lights or in front of a sea of strangers. This time, it was just her, the music, and the quiet embrace of her own spirit. The old woman, sensing Amina's internal struggle, stepped closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. True freedom comes with honesty and transparency with oneself. You must ask, why do you dance? Amina hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. The truth, a siren song that she had shunned for too long. For them, she finally admitted, the weight of her admission crashing onto her like a tidal wave. But I don't want to hide anymore. Then be brave, my dear, the old woman encouraged, her eyes intent. To reclaim your life, you must let go of the need for validation. Amina opened her eyes, a storm brewing within. The allure of fame shimmered in the distance, yet the warmth of self-discovery beckoned. Here stood a crossroad, and she felt time slow as she envisioned the paths diverging before her. To reclaim her life or to forever dance in the shadows. Both were choices demanding bravery. The stage was an altar of vulnerability, and Amina stood at the center, a solitary figure bathed in the soft glow of dawn's first light. The air was thick with anticipation, the murmurs of the villagers fading into silence as they witnessed her transformation. A sense of familiarity washed over her, akin to being wrapped in the embrace of an old friend. Each set of eyes held a mirror that reflected both her fear and her resolve. And as she inhaled deeply, that reflection began to sharpen. With her heart beating in rhythm with the rising sun, Amina cast aside the weight of expectation. This was not a performance meant to please nor a spectacle to behold. It was an intimate conversation between her soul and the universe. She felt the music sparking anew within her, igniting the embers of a passion once dulled by doubt and disillusionment. Her body yearned to tell stories lost in the chasms of time, tales queer and beautiful, woven with the intricacies of joy, sorrow, and resilience. As she began to move, Amina let the music guide her, filling the air with notes that shimmered like the dawn. She twirled with abandon, each spin liberating her from the shadows that had long clung to her spirit. The fabric of her dress billowed gracefully, mimicking the gentle sway of the nearby trees responding to an unseen breeze. In those moments, she was no longer the withdrawn girl marked by fame. She was a vine reaching toward the sun, unafraid to stretch and grow. The villagers, once mere spectators, became part of this sacred exchange. Their faces reflected disbelief, then awe. They watched as her movements conjured a tapestry of emotions, the laughter of children, the sorrow of lost dreams, the fervor of love unspoken. Through her feet, she sent ripples of connection throughout. The crowd. They felt with her, their hearts sinking to the rhythm of her dance. She could see in their eyes a dawning recognition. They, too, carried their burdens, their aspirations forged in the fires of their history. Amina spun faster, and with each rotation she shed the glitter of her past, the accolades and pressures to conform. Each pirouette revealed something anew, a fragment of her being once buried under layers of expectation. The shackles that had held her captive loosened like chains, rusted over time. She grasped at the air, clutching remnants of who she truly was. As the first rays of sunlight streamed through the trees, it painted the stage in hues of gold and amber. The music swelled, and she instinctively reached out, palm upturned to welcome the dawn. A transformative energy pulsed through her veins, and she twirled one last time, casting her fears into the wind, surrendering herself completely. The spirit of her artistry pulsed within her, fierce and unapologetic. Amina was free, not just from the shackles of fame, but free to be an extension of the earth itself, a celebration of life's fragile beauty. With each passing day in the village, the story of Amina, the girl who had danced her way into freedom, grew ever more vibrant, weaving itself into the fabric of the community like a tapestry of colors. New life filled the streets, resonating warmly with the laughter of children and the whispers of elders sharing tales under the shade of ancient trees. The air was thick with an unspoken rhythm that enveloped the village, a rhythm that echoed Amina's transformation. She became not just the girl who danced beneath the moonlight, but the heart that beat fervently within the soul of the village. The dawn of each new day saw Amina awakening with a sense of purpose. No longer was she confined by expectations. Instead, she reveled in the lessons gleaned from her own journey. With the sun painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, she would gather the children in a clearing, a sacred space where the spirits of past dancers could hear their laughter. Amina's hands would glide gracefully, leading them into a joyful frenzy of movement. Each twirl and leap became an act of pure expression, a celebration of existence. They learned to dance not for acclaim but for the sheer ecstasy of the moment, a freedom that transcended the confines of their former insecurities. The village soon became a kaleidoscope of expression, with art springing forth from unexpected corners. Elders, inspired by Amina's journey, began to share their stories through traditional crafts. Each thread woven carried the weight of generations, vibrant patterns telling tales of ancestors who had danced in celebration and sorrow. Music began to fill the air, rich and resonant, as neighbors united to create melodies that complemented Amina's dance. There was an exhilarating bond that formed, a sense of purpose ignited among the villagers as they intertwined their individual stories into a collective narrative. Among those drawn to Amina was Ali, a boy who had once been too shy to join in the dances, but found strength in her unwavering authenticity. He approached Amina one sunny afternoon, his eyes ablaze with newfound determination. "Teach me," he said, voice trembling slightly. Amina, ever patient, welcomed him into her circle. They danced together, the world around them fading into the background as they twirled and spun, laughter bursting like bubbles. In the spring air, Ali discovered freedom in movement, while Amina saw how each step he took added to the evolving rhythm of their community. As the harvest festival approached, anticipation buzzed like the tinkling of tiny bells. Amina felt the vibrant energy pulsing beneath her feet, a reminder of the responsibility she had taken on to remind others of their own gifts. The stage was set for a celebration that was less about spectacle and more about a living homage to the intrinsic beauty of self-expression. In every corner of the village, families prepared, uniting in preparation for a night that would honor their shared legacy. Amina understood that the true essence of artistry was in reclaiming joy, providing a sanctuary for everyone's stories. She embraced the profound truth that she was merely a vessel for something much larger than herself, a conduit for connection, healing, and above all, a reminder that freedom flourished in authenticity. And as the stars winked down from their celestial perch, the village awaited the dance that would etch Amina's legacy into the hearts of all.